on it.
I'll give it a shot.
Come on, Sonny, try it.
Oh my god.
Give it a shot. There you go, it's gonna break through. Careful. There you go.
Nice.
I bought this little tool for tying wire at Home Depot. It wasn't very expensive. It's got this little E-clip on the back. Kind of lets it rotate, and this E-clip kept popping out. So I just tack welded it on there. Might put some grease or oil or something in there to keep it from squeaking, but won't have to worry about it falling apart again. Right here, 10-inch thickened slab footing, and it points to these squares in the middle. And I looked all over these house plans and couldn't find that little statement right there, so I didn't know how thick those or how deep those are supposed to be, how thick the concrete is supposed to be right there. Finally found that this morning when I'm going around putting my bolts in, or putting my marks in where my bolts have to go for my shear walls. These shear wall bolts are the extra long ones, and then you have to have a shorter bolt every 4 to 6 feet. I have to check with the inspector who's coming by this morning to look at the rebar. I'm going to ask him a couple questions about how often you have to have the shorter bolts that tie your walls down to your slab. They're shorter, but they're still, I think, 9 or 10 inches long. These shear wall bolts are 22 inches long, 20, 24, something like that. And those have to be in certain places because we have these huge windows. We have 3 windows, a 6-foot wide, 8-foot tall window here, same here and here. So a lot of this wall right here and a lot of this wall right here is either window or doors. So door, 6-foot wide window, 6-foot wide window, 6-foot wide window, 3-foot wide door, shear wall, 4-foot wide window, 6-foot wide window, 6-foot wide window, 3-foot wide door. With all these huge windows, you don't have a lot of places to rely on your structure for shear, the wind factor pushing on your building. So we, my engineer, not we, but he, made these shear walls in certain spots that are going to have to be stronger than just a standard wall. This back wall has some windows in it, but they're not all the way up and down from ceiling to floor. This is the general direction that these windows are going to face. You're not going to see that, but you'll see all of that. That's the low spot in the property. Obviously gets the runoff. You can see it's all green right now and it goes down through there. Those trees out there will be thinned out, so you'll get more of a view out that direction when we thin those trees out. But standing inside the house is basically where we're at right now, looking out the bigger windows out this direction. We borrowed the rebar tool from a friend of mine up the street. It makes it super easy to cut rebar and bend rebar. I believe you can buy the tool at Home Depot or Lowe's. About any place that sells rebar is going to try and sell you a rebar tool. I don't know how much it is, but I know I didn't have to buy it because I'm only going to use it maybe one more build. Maybe when I pour a slab in my garage, maybe I'll put some rebar and bend it around some corners here and there. But I might not ever use that tool again, so I didn't really feel like buying it. But the rebar's done. It's tie wired together. We tie wired every joint on the top. Any place it came to an intersection, it's tie wired up. Some spots it's actually tie wired 2 or 3 times because we did the grid on top first and tie wired it together, and then we took those outrigger pieces that come out, dip down into the footings and hold the rebar off the ground on the inside of the footing. We tie wired those on after the fact. So in some joints there's 2, 3 pieces of tie wire holding those joints together. We're having a hard time finding these things called dobies or adobes, which are pieces of concrete with 2 wires coming out of the top, and you stick them underneath your rebar and you twist the wires around the rebar so that it doesn't fall off that little brick. It works really well when you're setting rebar on top of dirt because it has a tendency to move a little bit and shift, and then it falls off the dobie and your rebar is sitting in your dirt. When you pour your concrete, it pours over it instead of having the rebar in the concrete. The problem we were having is finding the shorter dobies. They make them 2 inches thick, 3 inches thick, 4 inches thick. I'm sure you can find them about as thick as you want. But we could only find the 3-inch thick ones, and only about a handful of them were left at the hardware store. So we had to kind of think outside the box a little bit. It has nothing to do with structure. So what we did, it'll pass inspection. The inspector actually came out last time and he was talking to me about them and said that he's seen guys just use rocks. Put the right size rock underneath the intersection of the rebar. As long as it holds it up off the ground, you're good to go. What we did is we bought 8-inch by 16-inch concrete bricks, and they're 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. I think they're 2 inches thick. The red ones were actually cheaper than the gray ones, so we went ahead and bought the red ones for $1.20 a piece. We ended up breaking up 4 or 5 of them into pieces, chunks about this big, putting them in underneath the rebar, holding the rebar up. It works fine. I need to add a couple more in some places that I'm not really happy with, but for the most part, where the outriggers go out, they're holding up a lot of weight from the rebar that's in the footings. So as we're pouring, I'm going to reach over the form and pull up on that rebar to get it setting more in the middle of the concrete. I have some of those things on the edge, but it's still sagging down. So I'm going to go ahead, and as we're pouring, I'm going to reach in and grab that rebar and pick it up a little bit, get the top of the rebar to set level, and then we'll pour the whole top. I'm guessing that the concrete guy is going to want to pour the footings first, and then he'll pour the top of the slab, kind of build up everything to the top of that foam, and then pour the top. It's the way I've done it in the past. Not everybody does it the same way, but it's the way I've done it when I work construction. I did it that way when I poured my garage foundation, and I've also seen other guys do it that way. So this is waiting on inspection right now. Inspector's supposed to be out today, hopefully, they said. If not today, in 2 days. They don't send inspectors out every day of the week because our area is not that big. So hopefully it comes out today. Still trying to get a hold of my contractor. He's not returning my messages. I might be a little stuck at this point, but we're trying. if nothing else, I know a couple older contractors. The guy that lives up the street that's let me borrow some tools. He's built many a custom homes before, and I'm sure he can drum up some people that will help me make this pour happen. This has got to happen. I've got to get this house started going. We had a late winter. Winter's still kind of going on. I'm still wearing my sweatshirt and my jacket in the mornings. It's not super hot yet, so got to get this house going. Hopefully get it sealed in by winter time so we can, well, hopefully we have it our final by this next winter, so we're not spending the winter in our little shack over here. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes. Until next time, guys, go make something. This is what our house is gonna look like. This is the front view, back view, and the side views over here. Kids' bedrooms upstairs. The master bedroom has a door and a window on the end. Master bedroom window, kitchen window, front door, and 2 side windows. And the other side window and the other door. We do have a door on every side of the house. Mainly because we don't have, these windows are so big they don't open. So if we want ventilation through our house, we're gonna have to be able to open doors. And those 4 doors with screens will get us some airflow through the house. Some of these windows up top are gonna open. The end windows will obviously open for fire escape for the kids. I don't know if the eave is going to do a step down like this or not. The way it's drawn right now it does, but it doesn't have to. So we will see.